I've always been the glue in my family, the one who remembers birthdays, settles arguments, and makes sure we're all still talking at Thanksgiving. So when my mum stood in our dining room and said, "Emma, you're not invited to your dad's 60th birthday party," it hit like a freight train. I'd spent half a year planning that celebration, $4,000 from my savings weeks of calls, with caterers designing a playlist of Dad's favorite Miles Davis tracks, even tracking down a vintage whiskey he'd mentioned loving once. This wasn't just a party. It was my way of showing Dad, the guy who taught me to sketch blueprints and laugh at my own bad jokes, how much he meant to me. And now Mom was staring me down, arms crossed, saying I was too overbearing and they'd handed the reins to my cousin Sarah instead. Sarah! I managed my voice cracking. Sarah, who thinks planning means picking a Spotify playlist 5 minutes before a barbecue. Sarah, who's suddenly everywhere. Family dinners, group chats, even Mom's Instagram posts about the party I wasn't told about. I turned to my brother Noah, hoping for backup, but he just stared at the floor, fidgeting with his phone. Dad, I tried desperate for him to say something, anything. He shifted in his chair, muttered, "Let's not make a scene, Em," and that was it. My chest tightened like the air had been sucked out of the room. I grabbed my keys and left, barely holding it together until I was alone in my car. That was 3 weeks ago, and I'm still reeling. How do you go from being the daughter who keeps the family running to the one they shut out of her own dad's big day? If you've ever poured your heart into something for the people you love, only to have them turn on you, you'll get why this hurts so much. Stick with me. This story's raw, it's messy, and it's not over yet. It's about what happens when your family betrays you and how you find your way back to yourself. I don't know how you're supposed to feel when your own family cuts you out, like you're some kind of stranger. For me, it's been this hollow ache, like someone carved out a piece of my chest and left it empty. 3 weeks ago, my mom told me I wasn't welcome at my dad's 60th birthday party, a party I'd been planning for months down to the last detail, because I wanted it to be perfect for him. I keep replaying that moment in my parents' dining room. Mom's voice sharp as a blade, Noah staring at his shoes, Dad mumbling something about avoiding drama. I walked out that night thinking I could shake it off, that I'd figure out what went wrong and fix it. But the hurt just keeps growing, like a bruise you don't notice until it's too dark to ignore. I'm Emma, 34, a Seattle-based interior designer. My job is about creating spaces where people feel at home, which is ironic, because I've never felt more out of place in my own family. Growing up, I was the oldest, the one who kept things together. When Mom and Dad fought, I'd distract Noah with board games. When bills piled up, I'd dip into my part-time job savings to cover the electric company. I didn't mind, it was just what you did for family. Dad was my rock back then. He'd take me to his workshop, show me how to sand down a table or wind his old pocket watch, this tarnished silver thing he'd inherited from his grandpa. "Time's the one thing you can't get back, Em," he'd say, clicking it open to show me the gears. That watch was his treasure, and planning his 60th felt like my way of giving some of that time back to him. Mom, though, she's always been a different story. Helen Turner is the kind of person who needs to be in charge, always has. She'd praise Noah to the skies, his soccer trophies, his charm, his potential, while I got backhanded compliments. "Emma, you're so practical. Not everyone can be the creative type like your brother." I brushed it off, told myself it didn't matter, but looking back, those little digs built up like water wearing down stone. Dad never pushed back on her. He'd just retreat to his workshop, leaving me to smooth things over. I got good at it, too good maybe. When Dad's 60th started coming into focus last year, I saw it as a chance to do something big for him. He's not a flashy guy, but he loves jazz, good food, and stories that make people laugh. I started planning in secret, saving up $4,000 from my freelance gigs. I booked a private room at the Blue Note, a jazz club he'd always loved, hired a trio to play Coltrane and Davis, and designed custom invites with a sketch of his workshop. I even tracked down a rare bottle of 20-year-old bourbon he'd mentioned once, $200 I probably shouldn't have spent. Every detail was for him, right down to the table settings that mimicked his woodworking style. Noah was excited when I told him, promising to help with the guest list. Mom seemed on board too at first. "That's a nice start, Emma," she said, which from her was practically a standing ovation. But then things started shifting. It was subtle at first, like a crack you don't notice until the whole wall's splitting. Mum began taking over. She'd call the venue behind my back, change the menu from my carefully curated comfort food to some upscale nonsense Dad wouldn't care for. "It needs to be classy, Emma," she'd say, waving off my protests. She started inviting her friends, people Dad barely knew, and suddenly my cousin Sarah was everywhere. Sarah's 28, the kind of person who's always angling to be the center of attention. She'd post selfies with Mom on Instagram captioned, "Planning something epic for Uncle Richard." I wasn't in those photos. I wasn't even invited to the meetings where they were taken. I tried talking to Noah about it, but he'd just shrug. "Mum's got it under control, Em. You're busy with work anyway." Busy. Sure, I was juggling clients, but I'd carved out time for this. I'd send Mom and Noah updates, suggestions for the band, mock-ups of the decor, and get one-word replies or nothing at all. Then I'd see Sarah's posts about finalizing the playlist or picking the cake things I'd already spent hours on. It stung, but I told myself it was fine. As long as Dad's day was perfect, I could swallow my pride. The real gut punch came a month ago, at a family dinner I thought was just to catch up. I'd brought my latest plans for the party, excited to share them with Dad. But before I could even pull out my notebook, Mom dropped the bomb. "Emma, we need to talk about the party," she said, her tone clipped like she was addressing a disobedient employee. "Your approach has been overwhelming. You're making everyone stressed, trying to control every detail. We've asked Sarah to take over." I blinked, waiting for the punchline. "Take over," I said, my voice sounding small even to me. "I've been planning this for months. I've paid for half of it." Mom didn't flinch. "Sarah's more flexible. She listens." "You're too rigid, Emma. It's not good for your Father's Day." I looked at Noah, expecting him to say something. He knew how much this meant to me. But he just scrolled through his phone, avoiding my eyes. Dad cleared his throat, muttered, "I just want everyone to get along," and that was it. My throat burned, but I forced myself to stay calm. "So what am I supposed to do now?" I asked. Mum's lips curved. Not quite a smile. "Just step back. We'll handle it." I should have fought harder, said something sharp, but I was too stunned. I drove home in a daze, the Seattle rain smearing my windshield, like my thoughts. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the pocket watch sketch I'd made for the invites. I'd wanted to surprise Dad with it, a nod to those workshop days when it was just us, winding time back. Now it felt like a cruel joke. Time was exactly what I was losing with him. I texted Noah asking if he really thought I was controlling. His reply came hours later. "Mom's just trying to make it easy for Dad. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal." How do you not take it personal when your family treats you like you're disposable? The next few weeks were a blur of hurt and doubt. I stopped getting updates about the party. My calls to Dad went to voicemail, and when we did talk, he sounded distant, like he was tiptoeing around something. "You doing okay, Em?" he'd ask, but never about the party. I started wondering if Mom was right. Maybe I was too controlling too, caught up in my vision to see what Dad really wanted. I'd lie awake at night, replaying every decision I'd made, every dollar I'd spent. Had I pushed too hard? Was I the problem? Then came the final blow. I was grabbing coffee with my friend Mia, who's plugged into the family grapevine. She hesitated, then said, "I saw Sarah's post about the party. It's this weekend, right?" Sounds amazing. My stomach dropped. This weekend I hadn't been told the date. Mia's face fell. "Oh, Em, I thought you knew. Your mom's been telling everyone you're too busy with work to come." Too busy. I'd cleared my schedule months ago. I pulled up Sarah's Instagram, and there it was, a photo of her and Mom at the Blue Note captioned, "Ready for Uncle Richard's big 6-0. The comments were full of family friends, gushing about how sweet it was. Not one mentioned me. I drove to my parents' house that night, my hands shaking on the wheel. I didn't call ahead. I was done playing by their rules. Mum answered the door, her expression hardening the second she saw me. "What's this about, Emma?" she asked, like I was interrupting her evening. "The party," I said, forcing my voice steady. "It's this weekend. And I'm not even invited," she sighed, stepping onto the porch, like she was humoring a child. "We discussed this. Your involvement was causing tension. Sarah's done a wonderful job, and we all agreed it's better if you don't come, for your father's sake." "For Dad's sake," I echoed, my voice breaking now. "I've spent thousands, Mom. I've spent months. This was for him." She didn't even blink. "You made it about you, Emma. Always needing to be the hero. Sarah doesn't do that." I looked past her, hoping to see Dad, but the house was quiet. Noah's car wasn't in the driveway. "Does Dad know I'm not coming?" I asked. She shrugged. "He trusts me to handle it." That was when I knew this wasn't just about the party. This was about erasing me bit by bit from the family I'd spent my life holding together. I don't remember driving home. I just remember sitting on my couch, the weight of it all crashing down. I'd always thought family was supposed to be your safe place, the people who'd have your back no matter what. But now I was on the outside, looking in at a celebration I'd built, watching someone else take my place. The pocket watch sketch was still on my coffee table, its lines blurring as my eyes filled with tears. I wanted to call Dad to beg him to see me, but something stopped me. What if he didn't care? What if Mum was right, and I'd been fooling myself all along? If you've ever felt like the people you love most don't even see you, you know that kind of pain. It's not loud, it's quiet, heavy, and it makes you question everything you thought you knew about yourself. I didn't plan to turn into a detective in my own family, but when you're shut out of your dad's 60th birthday party, the one you poured your heart and savings into, you start digging for answers. For weeks I'd been drowning in hurt, wondering if I really was the controlling daughter my mom painted me to be. But something about her story didn't add up, and the more I tugged at the threads, the faster it unraveled. What I found wasn't just a betrayal. It was a lie so calculated, it turned my whole world upside down. If you've ever had that moment where you realize the people you trust have been playing you, you'll know why this hit so hard. After Mum told me I wasn't welcome at Dad's party, I tried to let it go. I really did. I threw myself into work, sketching layouts for a client's waterfront condo, hoping the clean lines and neutral palettes would drown out the noise in my head. But every night I'd come home to that pocket watch sketch, on my coffee table, the one I'd drawn for Dad's invites, a nod to the silver watch he'd wind in his workshop while we talked about life. It was supposed to be a surprise, a way to say, "I see you, Dad." Now it just mocked me, a reminder of the time I was losing with him. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Mom's decision than her Emma's too controlling line. She'd always been sharp, but this felt deliberate. The first clue came by accident. I was at a cafe with my friend Mia, the one who'd tipped me off about the party date. She was scrolling through her phone, catching me up on family gossip when she paused. "Wait, did you know Noah's opening a gym?" she asked, showing me a crowdfunding page with my brother's face plastered across it. "He's already got $5,000 pledged. Your mom's been hyping it up." A gym? Noah hadn't mentioned anything, and we usually talked about big stuff like that. I pulled up the page on my phone, my stomach twisting, as I read the description: Noah Turner's dream to build a community fitness hub in Seattle. The timeline said they'd started fundraising 2 months ago, right when Mom began sidelining me from the party. "That's weird," I said, trying to sound casual. "Mom didn't tell me." Mia raised an eyebrow. "She's been emailing everyone about it. I figured you were in the loop." "Nope, not in the loop, not even close. I went home and checked my email, searching for anything from Mom about Noah's gym. Nothing. But I did find an old email from the party venue confirming a $2,000 deposit I'd paid from my account. I'd assumed Mom and Noah were covering the rest, but now I wasn't so sure. I logged into my bank app, scrolling through transactions. There it was, $4,000 total for the party deposits, catering the jazz trio, that bourbon. But then I noticed something else, a $3,000 transfer to Mum's account labeled party expenses from 3 weeks ago. I hadn't authorized that. She'd asked me to send it saying the venue needed an extra deposit and I'd trusted her. My hands were shaking as I opened my laptop and started cross-referencing. I pulled up emails, texts, even the venue's payment portal. The total cost for the party was $6,000 and I'd already covered $4,000. So why did Mum need an extra $3,000? I called the venue, my heart pounding. "Hi, I'm checking on the balance for the Turner event," I said, keeping my voice steady. The manager was cheerful. All paid up. The final $2,000 came through last week. I thanked her and hung up, my mind racing. If the party was fully paid, where did my $3,000 go? I didn't want to believe it, but I had to know. I drove to my parents' house the next morning unannounced again. Mum was in the backyard, pruning her roses like nothing was wrong. "Emma, this is a surprise," she said, her smile tight. "I need to talk about the party budget," I said, cutting to the chase. "I sent you $3,000 for the venue, but they said everything's paid." "Where's the money?" Her eyes narrowed just for a second, before she laughed. "You must have misunderstood. It went to extras, flowers, decorations. Sarah handled it." "Sarah again." I pressed her. "Can I see the receipts?" Mom's smile vanished. "Don't be ridiculous, Emma. I'm not on trial here." I left, but I wasn't done. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked Mom's email. She'd left her tablet logged in at my apartment months ago, and I still had the password. I told myself it was just to confirm the party expenses. But what I found was worse. There was an email chain between Mom and Sarah dated weeks ago. "Emma's getting too involved," Mom wrote. "It's stressing Richard out. Let's ease her out and put you in charge." Sarah's reply, "Happy to help. I'll make it perfect for Uncle Richard." My stomach churned. They'd planned to cut me out from the start. But the real kicker was another email from Mom to Noah's crowdfunding manager. "The $3,000 from Emma's account is for the gym. Don't mention her name in the donor list, she's not part of this." I sat back, my breath catching. Mom had taken my money, the money I'd saved for Dad's party, and funneled it into Noah's gym without telling me. She'd lied to everyone, saying I was too busy, too controlling, to justify pushing me out. But here's where it gets crazier. I found a text thread between Mom and Sarah saved in her email drafts. "Noah doesn't know about the $3,000, Mom wrote. Neither does Richard. Keep it between us." I stared at the screen pieces clicking into place. Mom wasn't just manipulating me, she was playing Dad and Noah too. Dad thought I'd bailed on the party. Noah thought I didn't care about his gym. And all along, Mom was pulling the strings, using my money to make herself the hero. I grabbed my phone and opened a photo I'd taken last year, me and Dad, in his workshop, him holding that pocket watch, grinning like a kid. I'd wanted the party to feel like that moment. Warm, real us. Now I knew why Mum didn't want me there. It wasn't about me being controlling. It was about her needing to control everything, even Dad's love for me. She'd always been jealous of how close we were, the way he'd light up when we talked shop or music. This wasn't just about a party. It was about her rewriting our family to put herself at the center. I closed my laptop, my hands steady for the first time in weeks. I wasn't just hurt anymore, I was angry. But more than that, I was clear. Mum had lied, stolen, and torn us apart, but she wasn't going to win. I started pulling together evidence, bank statements, emails, screenshots of that email chain. I wasn't sure what I'd do with it yet, but I knew one thing. I was done. Being the daughter, who stayed quiet to keep the peace. If you've ever had that moment where the truth hits you, like a lightning bolt, you know, it's terrifying and freeing all at once. I was about to find out just how deep this went and whether my family could handle what came next. Finding out my mom had stolen $3,000 of my money and lied to everyone about me was like waking up from a bad dream, only to realize the real world was worse. For weeks, I'd been the villain in her story too, controlling, too stressed, too much. But now I had proof she'd funneled my savings into my brother's gym project, all while cutting me out of Dad's 60th birthday party and convincing everyone I didn't care. The truth was freeing, but it didn't erase the hurt. It just gave me a choice: stay quiet like I always had, or stand up and demand better. I chose the second. Not with yelling or tears, but with a plan. If you've ever had to face the people who broke your trust and still hold your head high, you know it's not about revenge, it's about taking back your voice. I spent the next day organizing my evidence like I was prepping a client presentation. Bank statements showing my $4,000 in party payments and the $3,000 transfer to Mom. Screenshots of her emails to Sarah, plotting to ease me out. The email to Noah's crowdfunding manager admitting she'd used my money for his gym. I printed everything, tucked it into a folder, and called my aunt, Laura, Dad's sister, who's always been the family's neutral ground. I need to talk to everyone, I told her. Mom, Dad, Noah. Can we do it at your place tomorrow? Laura didn't hesitate. I've seen your mum pull stunts before, Emma. I'll be there. Her support steadied me like a hand on my shoulder when I was about to fall. The meeting was set for 7 p.m. at Laura's cozy craftsman house, a far cry from the tension of my parents' dining room. I arrived early, my folder on the coffee table, next to a framed photo of Dad and me from years ago. He was holding his pocket watch, showing me how to wind it, both of us laughing. That photo kept me grounded as everyone filed in. Noah looked confused, like he wasn't sure why he was there. Dad seemed tired, his shoulders slumped. Mom walked in. Last her chin, high, but I caught a flicker of unease when she saw my folder. Sarah wasn't invited. This was family only, and I wasn't letting Mom hide behind her. Thanks for coming. I started, my voice steadier than I felt. I need to clear up some things about Dad's party and what's been going on. Mom cut in, her tone sharp. Emma, we've been over this. You were causing problems, and we handled it. I didn't take the bait. Let me finish, I said, opening my folder. I passed out copies of the bank statements first. I paid $4,000 for the party venue catering music. Mum, you asked for an extra $3,000 for expenses. But the venue confirmed everything was paid with $6,000 total. So where's my $3,000? The room went quiet. Noah frowned, leaning forward. What do you mean, Em? I handed him the email to his crowdfunding manager. Mom sent this. She used my $3,000 for your gym, Noah. Without telling me. Without telling you. His face went pale as he read it. Dad's head snapped up, his eyes on Mom. Helen, is this true? He asked, his voice low. Mom's composure cracked just for a second. It was a loan, she said quickly. I was going to pay it back. The gym's important for Noah's future. A loan, I said, keeping my tone even. You didn't ask me. You told everyone I was too busy to help with the party, that I didn't care. You told Sarah to take over, planned it all behind my back. I slid the email chain with Sarah across the table. Laura read it aloud, her voice steady. Emma's getting too involved. Let's put you in charge. Noah's jaw tightened. Mom, you said Emma didn't want to be part of it. Mom's eyes darted between us, searching for an out. You're twisting this, Emma. I was protecting your father's day. You were so intense, so demanding. Dad's hand clenched on the armrest. Helen, stop. Emma's been planning this for months. I thought she stepped back because she was busy. Because you said, he broke off, shaking his head. I took a breath and kept going. I'm not here to fight. I just want the truth out. Mom, you lied to all of us. You used my money, pushed me out, and made me look like I didn't care about Dad. That's not okay. I looked at Noah and Dad. I don't want to lose you guys. But I can't keep pretending this is normal. Noah spoke first, his voice rough. I had no idea. I thought you were just swamped with work. Mum told me you didn't want to deal with the party. He turned to Mum, his eyes hard. You used her money for my gym. That's not what I wanted. Dad reached for my hand, his grip shaky. I should have asked you directly, Emma. I let this happen. Mum's face flushed, her voice rising. You're all ganging up on me. After everything I've done for this family, Laura cut her off. Helen enough. You owe Emma an apology. You owe all of us the truth. I didn't expect Mom to back down, and she didn't, not really. Fine, she snapped. I'm sorry if you felt misled, but I did what I thought was best. It wasn't sincere, but it was something. I didn't need her to grovel. I needed my family to see her for who she was. Here's how this goes forward, I said, looking at Mum. I'm done funding things without clear agreements. If you want to be part of Dad's party, you respect my role in it. No more lies, no more going behind my back. I turned to Dad and Noah. I'd love to be there for Dad's day, but only if we're honest with each other. Dad nodded, his eyes wet. I want you there, Em. You've always known what makes me happy. Noah reached over, squeezing my shoulder. I'm in, sis. Let's do this right. Mum stayed silent. Her lips pressed tight, but she didn't argue. I knew she'd push back. Later, she always did. But for now, the truth was out, and I wasn't alone anymore. The party was 3 days away, and I wasn't going to run the show like I'd planned. Sarah could keep her role. I didn't need the spotlight. Instead, I called Dad the next morning and asked if he'd have dinner with me, just us before the big event. He said yes, without hesitating. That night at a quiet diner he loved, I gave him a small gift, a framed sketch of his pocket watch, with the words, "Time well spent," written in my handwriting. This is what the party was about, I told him. You and me making memories. He hugged me, his voice thick. I'm so sorry, Em. I let you down. I shook my head. You're here now. That's what matters. The dinner wasn't perfect. Nothing is. But it felt like us again. Like those workshop days, when he'd wind that watch and tell me stories. I didn't need to control the party anymore. I just needed my dad to see me, and he did. If you've ever had to stand up to someone you love, not to win, but to be heard, it's not about fixing everything. It's about knowing you're worth the fight, even when it's messy, even when it hurts. Standing up to my mom and laying the truth bare didn't fix my family. It didn't turn us into some perfect unit where everyone holds hands and sings about love. But it did something better. It gave me back my voice and showed me I could love my family without losing myself. The past few weeks have been a whirlwind, from finding out Mom used my money to fund Noah's gym, to confronting her lies in front of everyone. I thought that meeting at Aunt Laura's would be the end of it, but healing isn't a finish line. It's a slow, messy walk, and I'm still learning how to take each step. If you've ever had to rebuild after your family let you down, it's not about erasing the pain. It's about finding a way to live with it and still feel whole. Dad's 60th birthday party was last weekend, and I wasn't sure I'd even go until the day before. After our dinner at the diner, where I gave him that framed sketch of his pocket watch, I felt like I'd already given him what mattered most, a moment that was just us, no one else's agenda. But Dad called me the morning of the party, his voice soft. Em, it wouldn't be right without you there. Please come. I said yes, not because I needed to prove anything, but because I wanted to be there for him on my terms. The Blue Note was buzzing. When I arrived, the jazz trio playing a smooth rendition of My Funny Valentine, one of Dad's favorites. The room was decked out in the decor I'd designed months ago, wood grain table runners, warm amber lighting sketches of his workshop tools as place cards. Seeing it all come to life was bittersweet. Sarah was there flitting around, as the unofficial host and I let her have it. I didn't need to be the star. I stood by the bar, sipping a soda, watching Dad laugh with old friends. He looked happy, and for the first time in weeks, that was enough. Mom was there too, playing the perfect wife, but I caught her watching me, her expression unreadable. She'd kept her distance since the meeting, sticking to the boundaries. I'd set no more unilateral decisions, no more lies. At one point, she approached me holding a glass of wine. "The place looks nice, Emma," she said, her tone careful, like she was testing the waters. "Your touches made it special." It wasn't an apology, but it was more than I'd expected. I nodded. "Thanks, Mom." We didn't hug or cry or have some big moment. Some things take time and some might never happen. I'm okay with that. Noah found me later, pulling me into a quick hug. "You did good, sis," he said, glancing around. "This is Dad's vibe, 100%. We'd been talking more since the meeting, rebuilding the trust Mum's lies had chipped away. He'd even offered to pay back the $3,000 she'd taken for his gym. But I told him to keep it. "Just make that gym awesome," I said. "And maybe give me a free membership." He laughed, and it felt like us again. Not perfect, but real. The highlight of the night came during Dad's speech. He stood up, glass in hand, and thanked everyone for coming. Then he looked at me, his eyes shining. "My daughter Emma put her heart into this," he said, his voice steady. "She's always known me better than I know myself. I'm lucky to have her." The room clapped and I felt my throat tighten. Sarah's smile faltered, but I didn't care. Dad saw me, and that was all I'd ever wanted. After the party, Dad pulled me aside and handed me a small velvet pouch. "Open it," he said. Inside was his pocket watch, the silver one he'd wound in his workshop all those years ago, its gears still ticking softly. "I want you to have it," he said. "You've always understood what time means, making it count, not wasting it on things that don't matter." I held it, the metal cool against my palm, and hugged him. "I love you, Dad," I whispered. "Always," he said back. The weeks since have been about finding my footing. I started seeing a therapist, someone who specializes in family dynamics. She's helped me see how I'd tied my worth to fixing things for everyone else, how Mom's digs had wormed their way into my head. "Your value isn't in what you do for others," she said. "It's in who you are." I'm still working on believing that. But it's getting easier. I've set clearer boundaries, not just with Mom, but with everyone. No more dipping into my savings for family emergencies. No more saying yes when I mean no. I also threw myself into a new project, designing a community center for a local nonprofit pro bono. It's small, just a rec room and some meeting spaces, but every sketch, every color choice feels like mine. It's reminded me why I became a designer, to create places where people feel seen, not to chase approval. Last week, I walked through the half-finished space, imagining kids laughing, elders swapping stories. It felt like joy, pure and simple, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Mom's still Mom. She's joined a few family dinners since the party, quieter than usual, maybe because Dad's been more vocal about calling out her jabs. I don't expect her to change overnight, or maybe ever, but I'm not waiting for her to anymore. Noah's gym is moving forward, and he texts me updates, no filter, just like old times. Dad and I have a standing coffee date every Sunday, where we talk about everything and nothing, the pocket watch ticking in my bag like a heartbeat. I think about that night Mum told me I wasn't welcome, how it felt like my family was slipping away. It hurt like hell, and part of me will always carry that scar. But it also woke me up. I learned I can't control how others see me, but I can control how I see myself. I'm not the daughter who fixes everything, or the sister who always says yes. I'm Emma, who loves fiercely, who builds beauty from scratch, who knows her worth even when others don't. If you're out there wrestling with family drama or feeling like you're not enough, let me say this. Your worth isn't in their approval. It's in the quiet moments when you choose yourself, when you set boundaries that feel like freedom, when you hold a piece of time like a pocket watch and know it's yours to spend. I'd love to hear your stories. Have you ever had to stand up to someone you love to draw a line and say, "This is me"? Drop a comment, share your truth. It matters just like you do.